Hello everyone, you are watching the channel Military Summary. Curiosities are common in the military sphere. Basically, the technique itself fails sometimes. It happens due to the unprofessionalism of the soldiers, and sometimes just strange situations happen. Today, we'll show you the 12 most amazing military curiosities caught on camera. 1. BRDM-2. The Russian armored personnel carrier sank in the Kerch Strait during the Kirk landing action. The crew of the armored car, in the amount of 5 people, was evacuated. There were no casualties or injured people. The cause of the incident was a strong side wind and the exit of the car to a section with a strong current due to the difference in depth. After the crew was evacuated, an attempt was made to save the BRDM-2, but the water flow could not be stopped. The armored vehicle was found the next day at a depth of 8 meters, 5 kilometers from the coast. Divers and 2 boats took part in the search and transportation operation, and the BRDM was successfully pulled onto land. 2. BMD-2. Russian airborne combat vehicles crashed to the ground when parachutes failed to open during a huge military drill dubbed Center 2019. There were no casualties as the landing was unmanned. 2-2 Bermudian dollars armored vehicles, weighing 7 tons each, were utterly destroyed after plummeting from 1.524 kilometers straight into the ground after their giant fall measuring nearly 350 square meters did not open. The reasons for the failure of parachute systems in the case of the 2 armored vehicles are being investigated by a special commission, and the human factor is also not excluded. 3. M60 On May 17, 1995, a resident of San Diego, Sean Nelson, stole an M60 tank that belonged to the National Guard and was stored in their armory in downtown San Diego. The M60A3 tank was stolen by a mentally unstable former U.S. Army tank driver, Sean Nelson. The 35-year-old simply drove up to the armory, drove through its unlocked main gate, and began walking freely around the facility, even though there were a large number of military personnel there at the time. No one seemed to notice the presence of an outsider. Nelson was lucky when the 3rd tank started up. Only then did a security guard try to stop him, but it was too late. 4. Type 05 Recently, a 30-second clip was widely shared on the internet about an armored vehicle sinking while traveling on the river. The tank dropped its head in the water and then gradually sank, causing the people on it to quickly jump into the water and swim away. It was the Type 05 amphibious assault vehicle that China has been proud to develop in recent years. China has not had any official feedback regarding the above clip. 5. Helge Ingstad. Norwegian authorities have released dramatic footage showing the exact moment of impact when the Royal Norwegian Navy frigate Helge Ingstad collided with the Malta-flagged oil tanker Sola. A Norwegian warship was repeatedly warned of its collision course with a Maltese oil tanker before then hitting it in a fjord. The BBC has been told all 137 of its crew were evacuated, and 8 people were injured. The frigate was returning from NATO military exercises. The tanker, the Sola TS, was slightly damaged, but it appears that it did not spill oil. After some time, the frigate slid along the bottom and completely laid down on its side. The vessel was able to lift only 4 months after the accident. The ship weighing 5,000 tons was lifted with the help of 4 cranes and a floating dock. In total, about 300 people took part in the operation. 6. S-300 A Russian S-300 surface-to-air missile crashed back to Earth when its rocket motor failed to ignite, starting a fire that damaged the launcher system. The missile is expelled from the launch tube, but the solid rocket fuel engine fails to ignite. The S-300 missile falls back to Earth and crashes to the ground, whereupon the rocket fuel begins to dutifully cook off. Approximately 3 hours later, the fire was localized and extinguished. There are no casualties. 7. S-363 On the morning of October 28, 1981, two Swedish fishermen were hauling their catch back to Karlskrona when they noticed a mysterious oil slick. One Bertil Sturkman later returned to the area to investigate and at 10 am came across a startling sight. A 76-meter-long submarine wedged on its starboard side against the sharp rocks of Turumskar Island. The patrol boat Migavi reached the grounded vessel by 11 am, and Carl Anderson managed to converse with a crew member in German who informed him that the submarine had strayed off course due to a faulty navigation system. The boat in question was S-363, a Soviet Whiskey-class coastal patrol submarine, thus giving the incident its moniker, the Whiskey on the Rocks. Stockholm demanded the right to interrogate her captain, Anatoly Gostingen. Moscow claimed S-363 had entered Swedish waters seeking aid, though, of course, S-363 had not issued a distress signal. Finally, after a 10-day standoff, Moscow permitted the Swedes to extricate the grounded submarine. Swedish tugs put the Soviet sub back to water and handed her off to Admiral Kalinin's task force. S-363 returned to port on November 7. 8. M1 Abrams. In this video, we can see that an M1A1 Abrams is pretty thoroughly stuck. However, some wisecracking NCOs got to work to get the tank out. Surprisingly, it doesn't take long to get the tank out of the mud, which begs the question: just how long was this poor Abrams left stuck in the mud? Why was it left sitting there when it could have been out so quickly? After suffering a little, the driver managed to pull the Abrams out of the mud. 9. Oshkosh HEMTT. Here is another military vehicle stuck in the mud, but this time it was intentional. The soldiers received hands-on training using an M984 recovery truck to pull out a heavy expanded mobility tactical truck, HEMTT, stuck in the mud. The truck was specially driven into the mud, and using evacuation equipment, the soldiers managed to easily extract the heavy vehicle. 10. Tiger. A video has emerged online showing a U.S. military MATV, mine-resistant vehicle, running a Russian Tiger armored utility vehicle off the road somewhere in northeastern Syria. It's not entirely clear why, but the Russian Tiger makes to pass the Americans on the right, deliberately going off-road and then wedges itself between the American MATV and the Max Pro vehicles. The crew of the MATV responds by first attempting to block the Russians from passing any further and then drives them off the road. That's all, friends. Thanks for watching. Write in the comments which case surprised you the most. Also, click the like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any new interesting videos.